hurt myself today to see if I still feel. I focused on the pain, the only thing that's real. What have I become? My sweetest friend. Everyone I know goes away in the end, and you could have it all. My empire of dirt, I will let you down. I will make you hurt. If I could start again, a million miles away, I will keep myself. I would find a way.
This is the Inkpulp podcast.
Yo,
Yo, yo, yo.
there's a part in the beginning too now.
I was just going to ask Eric how that was. All right, we got a special.
Can I ask you, does that countdown help you guys? Does it make you nervous? Does it do anything?
No, it's I find it annoying because it's
You
like
find
I'm
it-
ready to
you just
go.
want it,
and
do you want it to go live? Like you had that energy, and in 5 seconds you're like, I'm out. Yeah. That's all. I drain like a poorly charged battery.
We should have a secondary app that records those 5 seconds, and those
Yeah.
will make amazing
That's when
short
Shawn
episodes.
is the most like potent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The before the Inkpulp.
Yeah.
Okay, is that
And it's
something?
only
we can,
ever 5 seconds. You know what I mean? That's
Oh yeah, it's 5 seconds. The 5-second podcast.
that would probably go viral.
Yeah, it's just you guys vibrating in place and then go live.
And Eric just shaking his head.
Sorry I'm late. I got caught up doing stuff in the background. How you boys doing? By the way, what episode is this? This has to be shut up. 275.
It's right on your screen there, Eric. You should probably see the title above your.
I'm guessing.
Where is it?
Where?
You guys can't see where it says the title.
No, that's you.
It's episode 253.
253. I like that number.
That's a good
I don't,
one.
but that's fine.
We're voting. We're that bored. We're voting on numbers. What are you doing?
Agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Today we're having a
Yeah, what are we doing?
special episode.
Oh, look at that.
Oh,
This is Matteo's chance to get back at you for Mr. Freeze. We're going to talk to Eric about Arc Athena.
Are we interviewing me? Can I be an asshole to myself? I think the answer is yes.
That would be awesome.
no, this is the moment, Eric, when you ask yourself, why are you participating to this podcast?
I ask myself that every fucking time we go live.
Not only that, Eric volunteered a lot of time this week to streamlining the scheduling process. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
You're going
I
to
automated a couple of things because the way you guys were doing it, every time I took a look at so to give you guys context, we found a way to streamline our booking process. So as guests, it's so much easier for us to send you the available dates and say, here's what's upcoming. Please populate this schedule. Happy to have you on. We try to make it as seamless as possible, or at least I tried to anyway. But every time I took a look at the previous version of it, it's like watching a Flintstones episode where you're like, it kind of works. You know what I mean? Like they have a trash compactor, but you open the drawer under, it's a little dinosaur eating the trash. So like the idea is a trash compactor, but really it's a little dinosaur eating the trash. So Shawn sent me all our dates and I go, how does Shawn, no wonder Shawn is like frazzled all the time. I don't know how you keep those dates kind of like coordinated it in your head. And the other one I was trying to solve for is like, if we ask 5 guests at the same time, they have to thumb wrestle for whatever dates are available. And now it's up to you to sort of like say, hey, that's not available anymore. So-and-so got it first.
I usually invite a guest, lock them in. Invite a guest, lock them in. So your way is much better.
I think it's more efficient for sure. It's automated, to say the least.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
I mean, what Eric is trying to say is that he's better than you, Shawn. I don't know if you caught on that.
Well, I mean, he's been saying that as long as I've known him. So it's not new.
So
we didn't even know each other's names yet. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I'm better than
nice
you. My
to meet
name's
you.
Eric
Better
Kennedy.
than you.
I'm Eric.
Better is
than
the
you,
name,
Kennedy.
and then you is the last name.
My 2 surnames. All right, what are we doing?
But
what were you going to say?
yeah, go ahead.
Go, Maddie.
I was just going to start talking about the book, but did you want to say something?
No. I just want to point out that Shawn, you being a little naughty, and before we started recording, you admitted that we were not able to read the whole story.
I have the first.
So now you have to repent.
Okay. What do I have to do? Do I have to
go
say
get a
Hail
belt
Marys?
and choke yourself out by wrapping it around your neck?
I got to whip my back.
No, you got to go in the corner and kneel down on beans. Have you ever had that punishment?
Yeah.
In school, back in the
As a
50s,
kid, dude.
60s.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, it was a punishment that they used to do at schools, at least in Italy.
I was in Catholic school, and that's what happened.
So you kneel down on beans, not cooked beans, like
like hard mung, like real tiny ones that are super painful on kids' knees. You know.
So if I wanted to make that worse nowadays, I'd have Legos instead of beans.
Exactly. Yeah.
Why Legos? Just put like spikes, like tacks. Yeah.
Well, because I mean that's just evil.
Now,
I was wondering, since you're Jew.
Oh boy!
If there's because a Catholic school, they use the beans. So what would
they don't do that
coins?
Shit? Jewish schools don't do that. Wait, what did you say?
He's talking about the equivalent of beans to Jewish people. First of all, here's what I like. He said, "Since you're Jew," and I thought like, boy,
Jewish. Since you
Jew. How many more of these do you think until we get in trouble for that? How many more of those?
I don't know. We should have a countdown or something.
Well, Jamie's supposed to have the cancel countdown going.
Yeah. We talked about it. Yeah.
Jamie, I'm just kidding. You don't have to, but it'd be funny.
He's got it locked and loaded already because that goes in line with his resignation papers. He's going to be like, I did the thing, I'm out.
Jamie's just editing all of it because the minute we're canceled, that's going to hurt him.
No, I don't think so, man. I think that guy is so freaking on demand, in demand right now.
He is. He definitely is.
He could basically dump us and make 3 times more money.
Oh, no, don't say that. If Jamie dumps us, we're done. We are done.
Jamie, you're a pretty girlfriend. Please don't break up.
Yeah. Jamie, that's the reason why over the past few months, I haven't been asking for a lot of editing and weird stuff like I usually do. I'm trying to treat you with decency now that I know that you could leave at any second.
All right, before we jump into the thing, what's the response been? First of all, how did you guys feel about the Robert Kirkman episode? That was so awesome. Much fun for me.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah. It was really good. It was a really good.
I love guests like that. Now, without going into what I was trying to get ready today, I was grabbing stuff out of the garage. I was listening to other people's podcasts. And man, there are times when I'm watching the guests and I'm all like, oh, this is painful. Not because of stuff that the guests were saying was irrelevant, but just sometimes they get so... What's fun about this show when we have somebody on is we do a pretty good job... Maybe I'm overspeaking, but we do a pretty good job talking about the thing that they want to talk about. If they're hyping something, if they want to promote something, if they want to talk, whatever, like we always come back to it. But I think it just feels like we invited them over to like What color is that couch, Matt? Is that yellow or like some kind of lime green?
Dude, wait, what
Yeah,
just
it's a
happened?
lime green. Yeah, yeah.
You're
We
just
just,
ADHD.
I think he's been hanging out with us too much recently. It's starting to affect
My
his-
point is like we just invited them over to go sit on Maddie's yellow couch.
Oh, okay,
and just be like, hang out with us. Here's a couple drinks. Here's a couple of jokes, and then eventually
I think that's
to
the secret sauce of the show. I
Yeah.
think because we're artists in this, and when we have people who are in the creative side of this,
yeah,
it's it's almost like a level playing field. We're not interviewing. We're just talking.
That's what you'd like to think. Also, and I think you guys can attest to this, it's because we don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Well, I mean,
you know what I mean? Like, there's probably a science to like when you talk about to promote something, but when you don't know what we're doing, we're just like, oh, look at your cool lights in the background, Robert Kirkman.
But I think that's what makes podcasting interesting is that it's a lot more organic and it's not overly produced.
Yeah.
I think that's
so we're not really here to talk about a book. Shawn and Matteo are going to roll out their what do you call it? Their new Patreon about like giving you guys potentially people who want to open up their own podcasts. They want to open up the consult for $250 per consult. The first 30 minutes.
What not to do when podcasting is that
or what consult? To do? You see how you went negative? Why am I the positive guy right this second?
See what I did there
for 2 seconds.
Oh, by the way, speaking of Patreon. Speaking of Patreon, the other day, I've never actually watched our episodes on Patreon, like through via Patreon. But I've always watched the episodes, on via YouTube. And this one time I clicked on it because I was curious, and I don't know why, but there's an automation in that specific video specifically for me, since probably the cell phone, the app gets the fact that I'm Italian. So I didn't know about this. So basically there's an automated AI dubbing system for our podcast.
And it was translating it. It was
in Italian. We were speaking Italian.
Oh my God. I would love to see this.
The only problem is that it's the same. They only have one voice now. So, you keep hearing the same kind of computerized voice talking the whole time. So it's kind of, but I'm wondering, like, probably, I don't know, 10 years from now, eventually,
Matteo,
they'll manage to create the Italian version of each one of you.
Well, here's the thing.
Matteo, wait.
Yeah,
Matteo, what will my Italian voice sound like?
Oh no! It's right now. It's the one.
No. I'm asking what you think it would sound like.
Oh, okay. It would be like. Quindi Matteo, sono molto felice di essere qua con te. L'altro giorno ho disegnato un bel drago. È stato molto bello. Sì, mi sarebbe divertito tanto. Sì.
Oh, that's what I wanted. Okay, I'm sorry, Eric. Go ahead.
You're such a kid.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
Oh, I forgot. The point that I was trying to make was there is this on the phone, on the mobile, there's an app called CapCut. Have you guys dealt with CapCut before?
I used to a while back.
Okay. So anyway, I'm playing around with it now. And there's a bit where you... It'll never replace you, Jamie. You're a pretty girl. Anyway. So there is a phrase that you can have that CapCut makes you read. And from there on down, it captures nuances of your voice, depending on what, if you have an accent, it captures that too. And after you read this phrase, I can't remember what it was. And then you can just like do text to voice, right? Where you type in whatever the heck you need to do, and it's saying it in my voice. And to me, it's fascinating, but it's also to me like, oh my gosh, this can go poor really, really bad, in as much as you guys put my voice into the puppet,
in the ads,
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go.
All right, let's talk.
We're eventually going to talk about this book.
I'm going to talk about it right now.
Let's do it.
First thing, I got a few things I want to say. First thing, I love that this is what an independent comic can look like now.
Tell me.
The production value is incredible. This beautiful hardcover.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think back to the days of indie comics in the 80s and 90s. They were really cheaply made. This is beautiful. But secondly, Eric, we've got to talk.
Yeah.
This book it's fucking awesome. I really, and I say this sincerely because I know it was your intention, and I'm not saying this because
until
of that.
you read issues 4, 5, and 6.
Oh my gosh, it gets so much better.
It took me back to what I felt like reading X-Men by Chris Claremont back in the 90s.
Really appreciate it.
It was beautifully designed. I'm not talking about visual. I mean, visually, yes, but the story was beautifully designed. The way everything unfolded reminded me of a great X-Men comic from the 90s.
Thanks, man.
And that was awesome. And the story is so great. I love the social like the commentary aspect of it. I love I love everything about it. I honestly, like, I was really blown away. I knew it would look amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know your writing, so I didn't know what to expect. And I was blown away. Now, what I want to talk to you about is, like, you've got like gold on your hands with this property and this book. Like, this is like, you could turn this into your own, like, Hellboy thing where this is all you do.
Sure.
And I want to see you do that. Do you want to do that? Because this is awesome.
Yeah. You can pay me up front to do it like full time. I'd love for you to be able to just out of your own pocket.
Holy shit.
Before we get too far, I want to thank the crew that helped. Sort of like I could draw it forever, but if you take a look, there's a ton of people in those credits. So Giuliano.
Speaking of which, I have a complaint.
I know what you're going to say. I know. Go ahead.
Yeah, you already know, right? So at the beginning of every book, in the main, like in the opening page, there's a big, like each issue is dedicated to someone. So it starts with your family. So Cassandra, your wife, and your two beautiful kids, and then someone else, and then someone else, and it's 6 issues. So I was expecting we make the cut.
Who's we?
And no, like, I was expecting at a certain point you rethank your wife once again. I was like, dude, the fuck?
Yeah. Okay, so you picked up on that, right? It was gonna be you guys, and then I thought, like,
Yeah, I mean, look, I love John Amore. He got a nice thank you.
But you guys didn't get any from
Michael
like the
Dinicola. Like,
you guys didn't get a
mention
call out
Michael.
in the when I called out the entire Essential Sequential crew.
Oh, dude, did you just lump the Fratelli brothers, your podcasting cohorts, in with Essential Sequential?
Okay, listen, because I've sinned so much against you guys, the next series, every single one is going to be dedicated to you guys. Every single one. To Shawn, and then to Matteo, and then I'll start using your last name to Scalera and to Crystal, and then now in combination to Matteo Scalera and then Shawn Crystal.
For a moment, I saw there was a Matt in there. And I was like, but then it was associated with an Edward or something. So I was like, fuck, it's not me. I'm not even here. Who the fuck are Edward and Matt?
Okay, so here's assholes. The thing. I'll feel bad about it for the remainder of this episode, and then I'm going to go outside. Drink
just
a cup of coffee.
Forget about it.
I don't think you're going to feel bad about it, even for the episode.
I'm making myself feel bad. Is that a weird alien thing that you guys accused me of last time, where I like make myself feel an emotion because I don't typically would feel that emotion?
But like, also, as I was reading
I was thanking the guys, right? So Giuliano Peritelli, who did all the freaking colors, he had never done that many pages collectively. The page count breached 300 total, I think it was. And I think I damn near killed him. He went through some health issues and he never stopped. He said, listen, I'm sick as a dog, but I'm continue working on the series. Eric Weathers, who lettered it, Joe Fulton, who edited it. And really, Joe, if I have to, like, he goes kind of invisible, and I don't know what my big sort of advice to everybody who's ever going into it. I know some people devalue the what do you call it, editors, the influence of editors, but if you get a good one, like I had, that guy kept me on the straight and narrow, not just for the voice of the characters, because there's so many to juggle, but also the trajectory and the pace of the story. He'd step in there and be like, dude, we lose track of this emotion so quick. find a way. And that's how we worked. It was like find a way to sort of tidy that up. And so that was super beneficial. And then finally, the reason why you're able to hold it in your hands right now and the sort of like the level of presentation that you're looking at it is Leonardo Ulea, who did the book design, who I worked with Leo in Run, Love, Kill from way back in the day. And for next to no dollars, it was literally like 5 food stamps and $5. Leo said, I want to take this on because it's the first time I've seen you this excited about a series.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love Leo.
Yeah. And the color, I want to double down on the colorist. Like, as I was reading this, I'm like, this is what I would love to see the independent community rise up about. Like, that guy deserves an Eisner Award for best colorist.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell a story. I'll tell a story behind the scenes. He started looking for work, and it's interesting why you like focused on the color and similar. My wife does something really, really nice. We should like, I like the colors, ... It feels very 90s. And I thought like, what the hell, you know? But she said, Giuliano said something interesting. After he got so many of those things in the clip, he started looking for work using those pages as a point of reference for colors. And it was interesting the feedback that he got. And this speaks to what you're talking about potentially, Shawn, which is like, oh, we don't color books like this anymore.
What?
And I was interested in thinking about that. I don't know if it was a slight. I think there's just a way that books are colored now that I think potentially could lead to more clarity or facilitates faster turnaround. Does that make sense? Like, you don't have to go into a level of whatever detail or
I think about like Pepe Larraz. Like,
sure.
when I think about like how this would look over him on Spider-Man, it would look amazing.
Maybe. Maybe he doesn't look bad on Spider. He doesn't look poor on Spider-Man.
No, I'm not saying he looks bad. I'm trying to understand. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm a little confused by that.
Yeah.
By that, we don't color books like that anymore.
I think there's just a style. Maddie, tell me if this is true, right? Because I remember seeing you did Secret Avengers a little while ago. No, like this was a while ago. And when I saw that, I was expecting something else in my head. I was expecting an Avengers book that was a little bit more on the rendered side. But Secret Avengers is not necessarily flat, but it's like strategic about where it goes hard in color, right? So what do you think about this idea that things are colored differently now than they were back in the day?
I think in general, from what I see, like the big colorists now are not that I'm gonna use a term that's not perfect, but for lack of a better terms, invasive. So you have like Matt Lopez, Dave Stewart. These are all guys that they stay like on 2 top 3 colors at a time, and very, very simple and not too heavy. So probably that's what the industry is looking for now. They're kind of done with it too flashy, but I don't know.
But let me play devil's advocate. If these publishers are hurting, why not try something? And I'm not slighting those colorists because I love the work those guys do, but why shut it down instead of being like, you know what, let's try this. Maybe it'll make the book. And I do think it makes it more exciting to open up and look at.
Yeah, I think similar to me when I first saw what is Mark Silvestri's coloring crew over there at Top Cow. When I first saw those Cyberforce books, I freaking lost my mind because I thought, they have it. They understand it. Doesn't take anything from Wildstorm Effects, but I think my preferred coloring house or the color set of colored people, and I don't remember their names. I think it was Peter Steigerwald.
It's on the tip of my tongue. But
anyway, those guys did a phenomenal job, and that was the stuff that I was using.
Jamie, let's make sure that we show some of the pages. As Eric talks about it. So.
And that's the stuff that I was pointing to Jules to, which is like, go look at Cyberforce, because I think that's what good looks like, for this book. Yeah. Does that make sense? So, yeah. And also on the commentary of like colorists, I think colorists now are trying to break in, take a look at what's out there, and they realize, oh, this is the trend. So they cater their books or they cater their samples to what's going to get them jobs. I think if it was still of an era, right, most of these books would end up looking like from way back in the day. I don't know. For me, I think it's just a facilitation
Also, Also, Eric, it also depends on, I mean, if a colorist is a good colorist, they'll know how to approach a page depending on the artist. So
for sure.
In that case, your style, there's a specific intention behind Arc Athena.
Yeah,
so that's why he colored that. So
yeah.
I don't know if I was an editor or publisher, generally speaking, I would try to understand if the person in front of me is a smart colorist more than
for sure,
getting stuck specifically on what I'm seeing in front of me,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I think that's part of the problem right there is the editors don't have that level of training and don't have the eyes for that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Well, Eric, talk to us about the goals, the inspiration of this book. You designed. It's basically 2 superhero teams.
Yeah. So the basic pitch, as I tell it to people, is that there is an overall a global corporation called Arc, right? They run a superhero organization. One is public facing, and one does all the wet work. Athena is
dirty job.
Yeah, Athena is the public facing, right? They do it. They are made specifically to be the distraction for the general populace and social media to pay attention to, so that this corporation, imagine a conglomerate of like BlackRock and Google, so they can do all the dirty stuff behind the scenes and not have any attention shown onto them. Now, the social media team are basically just for show, right? Their power sets are primarily for show, but the guys from Arc Poseidon are the guys who are like murderers. Now, what happens when Arc Poseidon is no longer in the picture and an alien invasion comes down and Arc Athena is forced to deal because of the public perception that they are the global superhero team and they are way too underpowered to deal with it.
Yeah,
so that's
also
that's the overall blanket, right?
Arc Athena, they're very much in they're into this, just being a celebrity side of
they love
things.
it.
Like that's the whole point of doing anything, not doing real hero work, but being on the talk shows and I love how you had these little drones following them around, filming them for social media clips and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's super heavy. It's not subtle commentary on exactly all the stuff that we end up, paying attention to, as opposed to the stuff that I think has a whole lot more importance. But I hope that I did it in such a way where it was entertaining,
Dude, it's very entertaining.
Well,
really.
Also, I was expecting, so here's a question that I wanted to ask you. So was the way the story goes in terms of the I don't know how to say, the way you see the characters in the 2 teams, okay?
Yeah.
And the way things evolved through the book, was that always the plan, or you change your mind about how to go about the teams?
I think generally
as you're doing the book.
Yeah, the A to B, A to Z was pretty much in place. The subtlety of it changed because my editor was super helpful. I know this is what you're trying to say, but you could probably say it's smarter if you do this. And so there was a lot of tweaking there, but generally the trajectory is the same from start to finish. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the bigger. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, one of the bigger challenges is, like you guys pointed it out, it's 2 superhero teams. It was so it could have been really super overwhelming if I had focused on.
Let me add to that. It's 2 superhero teams fighting an alien race.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's
ridiculous. It's stupid, actually, to be perfectly honest.
That's what makes it feel like X-Men from the 90s, because that's what X-Men in the 90s was.
I agree, until somebody brought it up to me. They were like, Eric, you opened with an alien invasion. What are you going to do next? You know what I mean? Like, it was really difficult to understand until I got to about book 4, and I'll talk about it right now, which is it could have been overwhelming if I didn't, like, everything else was just like set dressing until I focused on the 2 main characters, the 2 leaders from each team. As soon as I made this, I think that's what X-Men does really, really well, which is it can be like demons coming through from the friggin' netherworld or whatever it is. But Claremont had a really great way of focusing on 2, maybe 4 people at any given time. And you understood that all the themes tied to, hell coming through a gate, But,
Right.
you know, everything started to become about, in this case, it was about, you know, accountability and responsibility. Right. And as soon as I made it about those two people, everything just helped support those two, that theme based on the two teams that are, you know, kind of, you know, showing up for the story or vying for whatever popularity, relevance, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, the reason why I wanted to ask you this is because at first, so what I knew about Arc Athena was I had read the first issue.
Yeah.
And so all the premise basically.
Yeah.
And then all the rest I knew, you told me. So more or less the pitch that you just described about the
That's
teams.
right. That's right.
So in my head, knowing where, at least I think that I know more or less what's going on through your head, especially from over the past few years. I was expecting a different, you go in a specific direction. Instead, you did another thing. So,
what was your expectation? I'd be curious.
I thought that it was gonna be like, oh, Arc Athena are just a bunch of like young fucking idiots. All they care about is, you know, exteriors and appearances.
Yeah.
So that's when the bad boys will need to step up.
Yep.
And, you know, that's the story that we're going to follow because those other guys are just.
I'm with. That's
morons.
exactly what I thought too, Matteo. And I don't want to. Are we?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Here?
I don't want to spoil too much. But
are we in spoiler space? Can we just say spoiler and be like, "Hey, go read the book before"? You know, because I love talking about story
I don't
with you guys.
think so.
Well, I guess Eric already gave it away.
Already came out. So and 5 and 6 are out. But no, I'm not giving away anything. You know, these things are already set up in books 3 and 4. So,
right.
You know,
and Eric already said what happens when the real heroes are taken out of the picture, and you need these fake heroes to step up.
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, whoa, like that whole issue of them capturing the Arc Poseidon team was awesome.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I was thinking about what Matteo just said right now, which is like, here's the expectation. And I think that's what people step into it as well. They go like, oh, you're just going to set these guys up to fail so that these awesome guys can step forward and basically take all the glory. And I understand where that sentiment comes from, but I don't know about you guys, but it would have been, the expectation would have been so obvious. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
Like it's speaking towards like, oh yeah, this is exactly where, this is not the first time I've heard that, Maddie. You know, I'm happy to say only because it was so difficult to not do that. Right. Yeah. It was easier to do that, to say like, look at these fuck ups and, you know, look at the real cool guys.
Especially if you watch at least like 10 episodes of the Inkpulp when you're on, you immediately would think that that's where you want to go with your story.
and you know, because I'm a novice and a stupid idiot writer. It would have been so much easier. I think the challenge was trying to come up with that really cool, again, the pastiche, the feeling of a Chris Claremont story. Right. Yeah. That took so much work to understand how that, I mean, it's once I broke down how Chris Claremont tells his story, it's pretty methodical, right? It's pretty like, here's where it happens. Here's the setup. Here's the twist. Here's the,
right.
But I think what people don't know how to do very well is understand that and Dwayne McDuffie does this too. Like I love Shadow Cabinet. I don't know if you guys have read that by J.P. Leon. Dude, back in Milestone days, right?
Yeah.
I hope we can get Dennis Cowan on here. That'd be so great.
Oh, dude, Dennis wants to come on. I spoke to him. Great.
Yeah. So like I read Shadow Cabinet religiously. Mm-hmm. And the idea is you establish the characters, you establish their relationships, but then you make it about people. And that's what Claremont does. He makes it about I don't know why, but writers nowadays write about concepts, but they don't write about people.
Right. That's exactly.
It's so hard to understand. That's almost, to me, it's maybe because it's potentially harder, but they don't quite understand how to mix the theme of something, the concept of a character, but the person behind that character. That was a difficult thing to unlock.
which is weird, especially nowadays, because after like 2010, I think, with the success, I mean, we had Robert Kirkman recently.
Yeah.
The whole thing, like the secret behind the success of, a thing like a project like Walking Dead, for example, that for years was the most viewed TV show ever on TV.
For sure. Yeah.
And I mean, if you think about it, it's a zombie story.
Well, yeah.
And I mean, it's a thing that how many zombie movies are out there? Or stories in general, books, whatever. And it's still the book, the story managed to be so successful because it's not about the zombies. The zombies are just, an aesthetic thing that it's being put on, like a cover, like a nice dress over a story about people,
Yeah. I think
it's weird that there's still a lot of people that don't understand that kind of concept, and they just stop about the facts. So what about if we grab this group of people, we put it in this planet, and there's this monster, and then they flee out, and then they get to another planet where it's even a bigger monster.
Yeah.
But it was controlled by the second monster. That it's okay, it's fine. I like that you try to come out with something original in terms of story, but if you then don't talk about what the stuff that happens affects people's heads and spirits, it doesn't doesn't leave you with anything basically at the end of the day.
I think this is in part. Tell me if you guys think this is true, right? I think when novice or / not so good writers approach characters, they talk as if the character is them, as opposed to character is a person. Does that make sense? Right? Like they use that character almost as like a hand puppet to say what they would want them to say.
I agree.
You're absolutely
as opposed to understanding like Claremont is not Kitty Pryde. Do you know what I mean? Like Chris Claremont is not Cyclops, and nor is he Colossus or Jean Grey. He hasn't, like, in as much as Robert Kirkman, in all of the characters and Negan and all those, like, he understands them as people. And he never thinks of them as like, oh, I see myself in them, and therefore, I mean, maybe in parts.
I mean, but you can do it here and there.
Oh yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
Because of course, if you talk about a lot of characters, sooner or later, some of the characters will have some features that you have as well. So you probably be able to expand a little more when you work on those characters because you know exactly what they're thinking. But
for sure,
other than that, you can you just reminded me of something. Not because I want to veer the attention.
No, go ahead, go.
My book,
I love talking about this stuff.
I recently was thinking about. I was recently thinking about a thing about my book. So basically, in my book, there's a lesbian couple, and there's no agenda behind it. It just the way I imagine it, the story. I thought about this various times. I thought about the story first as if I was watching a movie. So that's the way I've imagined the characters, and I just started drawing them that way.
For sure.
And they're a lesbian couple in the early 2000s. And at a certain point, they have to take a trip or something like that. And they make jokes here and there, not all the time, but at a certain point that there's a nice dialogue between the two of them. I wanted to show that they make a lot of jokes. There's this relationship.
They're familiar with each other.
Relationship with each other. And they make jokes about the GOP or taking the trip to the Bible Belt, as a joke. And I'm like, I was wondering, I wonder if people that read this, they're like, oh, this is what Matteo thinks. So if a Republican reader reads that, and maybe they'll get annoyed. I'm like, but this is not necessarily what I think. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm trying to be that. I'm trying to put myself into their shoes, what a lesbian couple in the early 2000s would make jokes about. And that's good writing. Makes sense.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
And I think if you zoom out enough, I think there is an attitude or a sentiment nowadays that whatever it is that your character thinks, you must also think that as well.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about that. I mean, obviously you put it into your book.
To back up that point, there are people that will read a book and be like, I can't buy any more books from this author because their character said this.
Can I tell you something about that in book one? Right.
Yeah.
There is a bit where in the beginning, the leader for Arc Athena does something really egregious, to the point where it ends up killing a bunch of these support characters in the background, these foot soldiers. And it was because for the sake of grandstanding,
Right.
And at the end of the book, the lead for Arc Poseidon is pissed off by the whole thing and just clocks the hell out of her,
Yeah.
And somebody goes, I saw a commentary that goes, dude, somebody on YouTube was like, I saw that guy hit that girl, and dude, I can't, it just made me feel so awful watching it.
Geez.
Like seeing that scene is it's just so against my inner core. And I thought to myself, like, that's an interesting perspective, because the gender never came into play for me.
No, when I read it, she's a superhero or he's a super, like it's a level playing field, and she deserved it. She deserved it.
That's the comeuppance part, right? And I don't think people could understand. I don't think people were. First of all, I don't know if they were aligned to it. But second of all,
here's the strange part: people died. That person didn't care that people died.
Sure.
He cared that a girl got hit. But because of her actions, people died. Like that's the fucked up part. Not that she got hit.
Yeah. And I understand where you're coming from, but to me, the way I saw it was like he held her in a level of respect where he treated her just like everybody else. You know what I mean? Like he would have, if that was a dude, he would have treated her like you're a lead for a team. You caught your irresponsibility and your grandstanding, killed a bunch of people, and. And you come to find out later that that was the guy that put her in that spot to say, hey, you're the person in charge.
Recommended her. Right.
You're the person in charge. And so what are you doing?
Yeah. Anyway. And I mean, I would understand that if it was a different scene, like it was like a woman that was, not, how do you say it? Not able to defend herself,
right?
And then a big guy, and then in that case, I can understand. Like I'm still able to separate reality from a comic book, so I'm still able to digest what I'm seeing without thinking, "Oh my God, this happened in real life in front of me." It's a book, first of all. But okay, if we want to go over that, I could kind of understand that. But we're talking about, I mean, in the 90s. All books were like this. There's no distinction between men and women on that term in terms of we got to fight now.
It's men and women and then superhero. So like Wolverine could hit women. Storm.
There's gender in there, but it doesn't affect the fact that they have to fight each other.
Right.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation that we're having now, only because I put it, Arc Athena, I put it inside a metaphorical pill that's easy to swallow, but we're having these conversations about like gender equality and, public perception of blah, 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 blah. So that to me is a huge thank you very much for indulging me. But that to me is effectively the stuff that I would feel when I would read a Claremont comic book.
Yeah. I mean, that's what good art should do. Get you thinking, get you talking. Yeah, totally.
I remember when Ann Nesenti and Louise Simonson would write that into the books that they were working on. Mm-hmm. And I like, especially Daredevil, when Ann Nesenti was doing it, I was like, man, this is so good. But there's just a superhero. There's a dude with a red outfit jumping around, throwing around his nunchucks and his baton, fighting ninjas. But somewhere in there is something that we can, if I look beyond surface, I'm like, oh, that really means something. So by the time Frank Miller gets his hands on it and does Electra Lives again, right? I thought like, geez, Louise, man, look at the maturation of the storytelling that happens in this. And this is still a superhero book. And I think that's when it's done well, when it's not hitting you over the head with some weird message about X, Y, and Z,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but then somewhere in there, I'm drawing an Alien Invasion too, which was like stupid to open up a comic book, to open up a series, because how do you top it? Right? Like Matteo's book, I think, is very personal and in quote unquote small, and it's approachable, right? But when you open with a massive, basically world ending event, how do you top that with book two, which
that's a good challenge.
I would actually have a problem with that, because now I have a problem. Like, I was thinking the other day, like, okay, what if this book is really successful and then I want to do a second chapter?
Yeah, right.
Like, how can I have the opposite problem, which is how can I maintain that low key, like really, how do you call it? Grounded story, you know, because on one end you have to increase the level of the menace of the, you know, the promise got to be bigger or at least the same level. Potentially of the first promo we had in the first series, but at the same time, you know, not go over the top, because it's, you know, that's not the goal of the book. It doesn't, it's not what I wanted to do. It's specifically, we were talking about it 5-10 minutes ago. It's about people, you know? So.
Right. I think that's pretty much, if you just keep going back to that, which is the backdrop is just the backdrop, right? Like people will pay attention to the event and say, oh, the event is insurmountable. Like you can't cross that next bridge. Or what are you going to do for series 2? When I'm like, oh, I'm not worried about that because I talk about people, you know, like the backdrop is just an alien event. Like, I don't care, you know, like it could have been anything, right? It could have been Atlantis. It could have been like, and most Marvel comic books built back in the day, the bombastic nature, the presentation was just the backdrop. The story is about people. So if I continue to make it about people and not like events, I think I feel pretty confident that I can deliver on the next book. But we'll see. We'll see.
Can we spend the last 15 minutes talking about the challenges you faced and are facing in creating your own series and trying to turn it into your everything, like I said at the beginning, like Hellboy.
We talked about this in like pieces every time we talk about like create our own books, but I'll try to do the super concentrated, you know, speed run version. So first, like getting the thing made was a huge challenge, right? Sure. But getting the thing made because there's an upfront cost to it. Obviously, everything at the beginning, everything breaks down to like, how much is this going to cost? How much is it? What is it going to take? What are the resources that I have in order to like contribute? Thankfully, Iconic Comics is in place, and they have an infrastructure built to like distribute this stuff, get this stuff out to people as they buy it. But it's that upfront money. And can I tell you, if I had an opportunity to go back, I wouldn't do the presentation that you were just holding on to right now.
You would do a cheaper one?
Oh yeah. Yeah, 100%. Because number one, it's 6 issues, but it is 50 some odd pages per issue, right? And if you think about a series, I could have broken that up. I could have divided each issue by half and still would have had a pretty substantial installment. I just couldn't sell it in the hardcover version of it that you have now. But by selling it not as a hardcover that comes I think inherently with a specific kind of price tag, just because if you do the pre-production and expense math, it needs to cost this much so that I can make it. It cost me this much to make, so I have to sell it for this much, right? Basic economy. The thing that prevents that from, I think, penetrating a little bit more into a potentially interested audience is the initial price tag. I know some people go like, oh, $25 isn't that much. But imagine if I could sell it for like $5. Imagine if I could put a price tag on it for 10. Well, I think there's so many, there's an audience there that would make it even that much more like, oh, $10 for 32 pages worth of great art, blah, blah, blah. And, I feel like I'm getting my $10 worth, which ultimately the spirit of what I was getting at was like, I want this to feel like you're getting your money's worth. But I think again, now having the opportunity to look back, I would have split it in 2 and made it so much cheaper so that people could afford to buy it.
Let me ask you this, Eric, have you, and I don't. This is not a slight to Iconic. I mean, they're great guys, and I love everything that you've done here and what they've done, and I love their whole business. But what if you've got these 6 issues? These are the prestige editions, let's call them.
Yeah.
What if can you go to Image, or would you go to Image and split it into 12 floppies and start releasing a monthly for a year?
Yeah, no, that's what's going to happen. I've already had that conversation.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, because then that gives you a whole year. That it'll sell. You'll make money, and while it's coming out, you can be generating the next one.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that solves the problem. Again, having the hindsight being as clear as it is, at the upfront, I would have said, you know what, I can break this up, man. And I don't know if you guys remember this when we had Todd McFarlane on, he put a number in my head, which is like,
dude, everyone talks about that from that episode, that 50 comics.
Yeah, he was
Everyone
like, do
talks
50
about
comics. And I thought like, dude, I'd be 12 issues deep by now if I had done, if I had split this up into 2 instead of like, the 6. Anyway, that's one learning.
Generally speaking, aside from the 50 or whatever they are, it's a matter of amount of work,
Exactly.
He was also talking about, because whatever you want to do with the book, whether you keep doing it with Iconic or you go with Image, as you said, you would have already 12 books, but it's already 300 pages, as you said. Like 50 books are more or less 1,000 pages. So you 1/3 into that.
That's it.
Amount of pages. So,
that's it. Yeah. But it's
however
2 pieces,
you decide
right?
to split them,
Yeah, I think it's 2 pieces. Everything that you said, 100% accurate. But the part that I'm really trying to pay attention to is when somebody new who doesn't know me, like, first of all, it's so hard to sell your own sort of like IP, right? I think the harsh reality of a lot of the creators in the mainstream space who then break off and do like creator-owned stuff, they go like, oh, what the heck? So how come people aren't paying attention as much, aren't buying the books as much as they used to? There's rare exceptions to that. But like, yeah, because you're not selling Batman. Batman is selling you, Yeah. You're not selling X-Men. X-Men is selling you, right? There's that great, I don't know, like that symbiotic relationship that often favors a pre-existing well-known IP. So for me, I'm always trying to analyze and crunch the internal numbers in my head, or like theory craft. How do I get this book into more people's hands and make that action frictionless, right? Do I make it cheaper?
Yeah.
Do I go to more places,
I think that generally speaking, if you merge the 2 advices, so you think about the famous 50 issues by Todd McFarlane, and the other fresh advice that we just got last week from Kirkman, from Bob, that he was saying, okay, you did this book, then do another book, do another book. It's consistency. Like if you think about what is Robert's legacy now, like he was doing, Walking Dead back then in the year 2000 or 2000.
Oh, for sure, dude. Even before that,
he's been just grinding and grinding and grinding. He was doing a lot of books and a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's also compounded into what McFarlane is saying, right? I think if I'm hearing you correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, which is like it's just about consistency. If I've learned anything,
not consistency on the book, but in general on your career. So
if you zoom out,
if you start doing this book, and then you have another book, and then you have another book, and then you consistently prove to the audience that you're this guy who is a guy that wants to do his thing, and he keeps doing his thing.
That's it.
You'll see that there's the other day I was listening to a podcast, and they mentioned a rule that they have in the podcast world, which is we're talking about big podcasts, and I think the rule was established by, I don't remember, like Joe Rogan or somebody who had a huge podcast. It's like and this was referred back then when podcasts were starting to be popular. The rule was you got to keep doing it for 3 years at least, and then you'll start to see the effects of what you did 3 years ago.
For sure.
Eric,
but
how's
you
that
have to
sit with
keep
you?
doing it.
Yeah.
How's that sitting with you?
What?
You ready for
Doing
2
it
more
for 3
years
years?
of this?
I feel like we've been doing this for easily a decade and a half. Just the way it's taxed my emotions, mentally. I feel like we've been doing this for 100 years at that point. So to go to what you're talking about, Maddie. So again, a lot of self-analysis, a lot of like postmortem, paying attention to like what works. And this goes back to one of my favorite artists way, way, way back in the day, another X-Men guy called Paul Smith. You guys know Paul Smith's work?
Of course.
Yep.
I'll show it to you, Jamie. I'll put some stuff up. I'll send you some scans so you can have it. But I remember Paul Smith, I read this interview and whatever back when they were still doing interviews in magazines. And he said he never drew like that for X-Men. He didn't draw that way in real life. He wanted to be like Alex Raymond. If you don't know what Alex Raymond's work looks like, I'll send you copies of that too. You can have it up on screen, Jamie. But it was a lot more brushy, a lot more like it's the work that ended up in Golden Age back when James Robinson, he wrote for him.
Right.
And when I saw that, I was totally off put because I was expecting Paul Smith from his X-Men run. And the reason for that is Paul Smith said, oh yeah, I had to come up with that style, the quote unquote animated, super simple style, because it was a monthly book. Right. And this goes with what you were talking about, Maddie, which is like X-Men became what it was because it was consistent on top of being good, but its consistency helped with its relevancy.
Yeah.
And I think within the context of Paul Smith's body of work, he knew he couldn't do Alex Raymond month in and month out. So he had to come up with a style that made him draw it, quote unquote, faster, something that he was happy with. And after the postmortem of Arc Athena series 1, I'm doing tests now for myself to be like, how do I simplify this? Because if you could take a look at the art for Arc Series 1, it's a lot. You know, I showed you guys I show you the colored pages. I'll show it to you in black and white. And I was like, why did I do so much work? Who was I? Wow. Stop trying to fucking impress people. You know, it's like, stop it. It's not. And more than anything, I think I was thinking of the kid that was trying to break myself as a young kid, trying to break into comics in the 90s, and nobody was looking in my direction because they thought like, style doesn't work. Maybe potentially the stuff wasn't like quote unquote cool or bombastic. And so I'll show you guys and I'll put it,
but Eric,
I'll pour it into these pages.
You keep like kind of falling into that trap. I remember you talking about, what was it? Cybernary? Like you did a Wildstorm.
Yeah.
You say the same thing about that.
What's that? Like simplifying?
You were trying to impress everyone with everything you did on that book, and you went way over the top.
Yeah, because it just goes to show I don't learn my own lesson. You know what I mean? Like I talk a big game, but I don't listen to myself. So eventually,
I understand the sentiment of what you're saying, but when I look at the results, and I do love it. So I don't think there's a right or wrong here. But if you're wanting to do more and be more consistently putting it out, it makes sense.
But yeah, my goal is to get to that, you know, spiritually, into that magical metaphorical number that is 50. I want 50 books all stacked next to each other. Now,
I know you can do it, and I want to see it happen because, like, I think like Arc Athena should be really well known.
Yeah,
it's a great book.
Thanks. It's just a matter. And I don't know, Maddie, you're experiencing this now, right? Which is. But you tell me from your experience, right? Shawn, you're about to run into this meat grinder potentially. I hope not. Yep. But like writing for somebody who doesn't write on the daily is I'm searching around in the dark sometimes, you know, to be like, how do I solve this problem? It may come naturally to you guys, but from a guy who's writing a series about like 14 different people plus an alien invasion,
I mean, it was tough. On a behemoth. You know?
That's a big one. Well, for me, I don't find myself in that situation because it's my series is more like already had in mind where I wanted to go with the story. There's not a lot of characters, so it's way simpler, and way less problems to deal with. So. It's a different situation. Maybe in the future, if I'll decide to do something bigger that needs more, you know,
dude, don't do it. Don't do it. It's just a giant pain in the butt. If you are, call Bobby and ask him how he does it. You know what I mean? Have him sort of go in there and audit the heck out of you. Bobby. But yeah, no, thanks guys. It has been so much fun.
Yeah, since we mentioned briefly an eventual, like, you know, second volume and another story arc, do you already have something in mind, or right now you're just, you know, focused on, you know, I just finished this first arc for a second, and I'm gonna think about what comes next?
If you think about it, I finished arc 1 a year ago? So that's been done already. The only thing that hasn't been done is like all the post-production, which is all the coloring and the lettering and the, you know, formatting and printing. But it was a year ago that it was already done. So between then and now, I've been working on series 2. And, you know, to her credit, I remember pitching it to my wife, and my wife was like, you're just complicating it. That's her big, she's an amazing storyteller. And she has this uncanny ability to like hone in on theme, you know, like that's way too complicated. Why are you doing that with A, B, and C? Why not just A? And when I when she helped me sort of like break that version of the story or that story arc, it made it so much easier when I have a passionate but trained pair of eyes and ears. You can go like, this is probably a story about fatherhood, right? This is a story about like, guilt and fatherhood. And I was like, yeah. And she goes like, okay, all this stuff is superfluous. Like you don't need all this extra stuff. So that's the part that took the longest, is just to set those pillars into place, and then eventually stop saying it to myself, because everything makes sense in your own head because you know how to fill in the gaps. Saying it to an open audience, a critical audience who want to help you, that took the longest. And then trying to like fix it from there.
Yeah. I think to me, sometimes the risk is that we try, again, this goes back to the fact that some writers, they don't think about the character development, but are more like doing something incredible with what happens, only the facts. Sometimes the risk is that you want to find an original way to, I don't know, our hero needs to solve this problem. He's been kidnapped and he's got to find a way to. So now you started thinking too much about finding a cool way for the main character to escape. And sometimes it doesn't need to be that, but the way you tell the story can be a really simple way. Maybe, he fakes. I don't know. Think about the most typical way that an escape movie can offer that kind of solution. You can do it, but from your point of view, which will make it more interesting,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's why it's so critical to understand that character as opposed to understanding myself projected into that character, because I know how I would act, Yeah. But this person might act completely different, which is the surprising part. That's where solving the Rubik's Cube of how they would handle things, how would they react, how they would act and react to things. So one of the if it's a story about like remorse, guilt, and fatherhood, I'm a dad. I have like remorse over how I handle stuff in my life. But in as far as like a lived experience of this character, as I'm trying to understand him, I'm like, I would have no idea how that person, how they would handle that based on the situation they're in. So that's the point where I really need to slow down to be like, I would solve it like this. And it's like, cool. But you're not telling a story about you. You're telling a story about this character. So that's why it takes a little while for me to like, if he doesn't solve it exactly like me, then it breaks the momentum of whatever, this point of the story. So because I'm a novice, because I write clunky, that's why it takes me so long to break a story. But I'm getting, I'm getting more confident as we go.
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of those things that the more you do it, the more confident you become. And the easiest the whole process gets. Yeah,
for sure. Look at the art. Right. I mean, there's two levels, right? One, the stuff that we're talking about, like breaking down character and understanding the story and blah, 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 blah. But then some people just, I think 90% of the time people come up to me after buying the book and they're like, holy shit, this is so dense. Like to understand, like, especially once you get to issue 5 and 6. And I don't think I finished all of those pages all at the same time, all at once, right? The reason 5 and 6 took so long to come out, it was maybe a year gap, a little bit more, between 4 and 5 and 6. And that's why I released them at the same time so people didn't have to wait, is because Juliana was coloring it. And if you take a look at where it starts, it was pretty dense already. But by the time you get to 5 and 6, it's like closing out the third act of a big, super expensive movie. Yeah. Their book 5, I think, was just like double page spread after double page spread after double page spread. Yeah. And in book 6, you have to pay that off.
Sweetness.
It's awesome, man. So for people that want to buy it, you just go to iconiccomics.com.
That's it.
Is that right?
And go to the Arc Athena tab, and they're all available there. As a matter of fact, it'd behoove you to go get it right now as an entire series if you haven't gotten it already, because they're offering that great deal of like, hey, if you buy it, we're going to make it really affordable for you so that the barrier to entry is that much easier for you. And then the next obvious question that I've asked, or that I've been asked, is like, when are we going to collect this into one omnibus or one trade paperback. And I'm like, I'm not even thinking about that. Like the business of collecting that is not in my head at all because I want to get to that magical number 50. Like I could think about that, or I could continue to draw. Like I could strategize for that, or I could draw 10 more issues of this thing. And I'd rather draw 10 more issues.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
All right. So, we've done it. Matteo, are you ready? Eric, are you ready?
I'm always
Just
ready.
for you, Eric, I'll make it short.